What's going on, family? How is everybody doing? Get your libations. Get your libations. Everybody is going on the interwebs because I have had problems with the interwebs ever since the coronavirus. So anyway, fam, please get what you need for the show. Please hit that like button. If you just got in here, please hit that like button for me. I would appreciate it. If you just got in here, please hit that like button. I would appreciate it. Cost you nothing to hit the like button. Please, if you're new here, please go and hit subscribe. Just hit that subscribe button for me. If you are new here, please be sure to share the show. If you enjoy what we do here, share the show and share the conversation and all of that good stuff. Hit that bell so that you get notifications. If you have not hit that bell, I've been trying to do a better job of sending out a tweet when I go live. We're not going to be here a long time. So tonight, because a lot of this stuff is reheated, it's leftovers. So we don't have to do a whole lot of work. So we're not going to be here too long. Just so you know, FYI, for people who have to put the children away and things of that nature, I understand. Go to subscribetobrown.com also. I've been sending the newsletter out to everybody these past few Sundays. So if you go to subscribetobrown.com, that is for you. So please do that for me. Again, it costs you nothing. If you want to donate, you can go to donatebrown.com, patreon.com/WattCarnell. You can do all of that. ADOSmerch.com for the shirts. I've been having the people pick those up. So anyway, fam, but if you are laid off and you cannot do anything, we understand here. So hit that like button. Cost you nothing. Anyway, fam, let's get to it. Oh, I hate this is just ridiculous. I can't tell you how much the slowdown has been. I try to navigate things and a few different computers, and it's been crazy and wild. Now, this one just done shut down. It just done gave up. The internet just gave up. But we still got a signal, so let's go, fam. Listen, we have to talk about this. This is what we have to talk about for those of you who did not see. And also for those who do not know, before I get into this, I've been watching, even though I was not a huge fan of basketball or a fan at all, I've been watching that Jordan documentary, Last Dance. Might have a conversation about that at some point and couple it with something else that's coming out. But I've been watching it. It's interesting. I probably would know more about football than basketball, but just in terms of the characters it play, it's been very interesting. So we might talk about that, just an FYI for those who haven't seen it. I thought I had to pay for it when I found out I could get it on the ESPN app, and I was like, well, I guess I'll look at it. Anyway, fam, we have to talk about, absolutely have to talk about your friend who's been acting up, your friend, Joe Biden. Hang them high. What else Biden say? Mass incarceration. We got to incarcerate them. We've incarcerated more. Joe Biden. I haven't seen much of Biden because of the coronavirus, the COVID-19. So I haven't seen much of him. But he had a lift every voice Biden plan for Black America. Now, the first thing about this plan for Black America, as it were, the first thing about this that is very bothersome and worrisome to my soul is the fact that this is just basically not an announcement of anything. It is basically kind of a summation, if you will, with some stuff missing. I saw way more coronavirus stuff. It was some strong stuff. How many of you remember the first time we talked about this and we went over it during the primaries a lot? It was stronger verbiage. Now we have a lot of verbiage about the COVID and disparities, and we're going to go through it. But it's the same. I don't know how you release this as like, I guess because now we're in the primary. But you didn't really, the general, I'm sorry. For the sake of argument, we know who Bernie has given his blessing. We know who it is. We know it's going to be Biden. Unless they decide to bring Hillary in or something like that. But it's kind of the same thing. So it's not any real announcement. You didn't really do any work on it. So I don't even understand how it is an announcement except to get ahead of or bring attention to something other than the allegations that are against you at the moment, Biden. So I didn't see a whole lot of stuff there that was reason for fanfare. As a matter of fact, it seemed like what you put up on Medium when you posted it was a watered down version of what you've already said. So we have to go through it really quickly because there's one part of it that you will recognize when I get to it. When I get to that one part you recognize, then we're going to have a conversation about it. We're going to have to review a little bit of it because, when you do leftovers, that means you have to eat the food that you ate before. It's not our fault. So we got to do the same thing. We got to do leftovers. Biden gave us leftovers. Now we got to eat leftovers. So that means we got to go back and look at some of the stuff we already looked at, right? So just because a lot of people haven't seen it. But before we get to all of that, let's go right in here and look at some of the stuff that Biden posted about what he's gonna do when he put it up in media. Here's what he's gonna do. Biden got something for us. African American entrepreneurs seeking capital are rejected at a rate nearly 20% higher than white entrepreneurs and receive far less support when they do get funding. We're going to fix that by doubling the state small business credit initiative, doubling funding for a program that supports mission-driven lenders in low-income communities, expanding the new markets tax credit to draw tens of billions of dollars to invest in communities that need it. Now, I want you to pay close attention to something that was said. Now, the first thing that was said, we all in the first paragraph, and there's a whole lot of bait and switch going on, and a whole lot of talking about stuff that don't make no sense. It's a whole lot of weird stuff going on. So, as we do that, what I want to do is just draw your attention to. We always talk about on this show how budgets matter, right? But what we don't talk about enough is how language matters. Language also matters. So the language you use matters. So let me put this back up on the screen real quick. So you put up here, you say right here, low-income communities. What low-income communities, yes, we're disproportionately poor, but that is not a specific to ADOS thing. That means low-income people, whoever they happen to be, whether they be Native American, whether they be Hispanic, whether they be poor white people. This is not a black agenda. This is a class agenda to help poor people. So this low-income thing is a problem because that's not specific. Also, look at the part where you talk about doubling funding. The first thing I want to know is what was the funding? Whenever somebody says they're doubling funding for something, make sure you find out what the funding was the first time. Because something could have an abysmal amount of funding, and somebody says we're gonna double the funding, and the funding was only $1. Find out what the funding was and how much the funding is right now as paired to what the needs are. The funding needs to be paired to what the needs are. The next thing they talk about doing is a tax credit. Well, tax credits, I get that, but tax credits are not the kind of redistribution of wealth that we need, right? So you're already getting into a space, and we just started, and you're already at a space where you're kind of telling us stuff that ain't what you say it is. And that's just the first paragraph. We just got here. We just got here, and you're already doing this. What you doing? What's wrong with this thing? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. What we doing? It doesn't make any sense to do it the way he's doing it. I don't know why my computer is messing up. We're going to get it together. Nobody got time. But what he's saying doesn't make is please understand that what we're talking about as we talk about this, we're talking about specificity. If you can't talk about specificity, then you're not it's not I hate the word black, but then it's in that sense, it's not an ADOS agenda. Like there is not a quote unquote black as an interchangeable word for ADOS, which it really isn't, but that's not an ADOS agenda. You can't have a black agenda that's just like, we're going to do stuff for low income people and some of y'all going to get scooped up in it, so it's going to include you. That's not what we're talking about. And let's go to the next one. Hold on one second. Okay, let's get this up. So here we go again. We'll create a tax credit up to $15,000 for first-time home buyers. Pay attention. For first-time home buyers, available at the moment they make their purchase. Establish a new homeowners and renters bill of rights to bar deceptive, discriminatory practices and bring more accountability and oversight to mortgage brokers and landlords in discrimination and credit reporting, and by creating a new public credit reporting agency to catch and eliminate racial disparities and establish standards for housing appraisals to put an end to the undervaluing of homes in African American neighborhoods. Listen, let me just say something. What What's happening here? Honestly, what's happening here? And it's very unfortunate. But, and I agree that there hasn't been enough enforcement, right? I agree with that. But what's happening here is, in terms of discrimination, because policies are only as good as their enforcement, right? So you can have we had FHA, all that stuff, and we didn't get enforcement, and so it became a problem. I understand that. I really absolutely do understand that. But the problem that we face right now is that that can be a problem. I'm not opposed to anti-discrimination law per se. I'm not. I'm a fan of it. The problem is that in and of itself, that's not a fix. You don't have a fix without reparations. You don't fix, like, look at the bottom of what it said, undervaluing the homes of African American neighborhoods. The fix for that is race. You have to fix race. And as long as we are a plundered group who has no money and people know we have no money, we are going to be prey. We have no money. We have no ownership. It's not just about having money. It's about what money means. Money means having power. When you're a powerless group and nobody advocates for you because you never were able to inherit wealth and build careers and build a power base within your community, what that means is that you are prey for big sharks. You can't fix that with anti-discrimination law. You can put anti-discrimination law in place as like addendums, right? But what people can do to you, they're still going to do to you. And they know, hey, if I can't do it like I want to do it right now, I'll just wait until I get a friendly administration to do it. And most administrations are friendly that way, because the way Democrats have won elections is by saying, well, we're not going to do all that stuff for the blacks. Isn't that what Biden said? He's talking about this, but isn't that what he said? Isn't that why Obama selected Biden to be on his ticket? To show everybody, you see, I got me a good old boy on here. He was friend with all the segregationists. So we are locked into a situation in which, in order to prove themselves, Democrats, white Democrats especially, but we got some of our own we're going to talk about, in order to prove themselves to white America and middle America, in order to prove that I don't carry no heart for the Negro, they just throw us under the bus. And so they do stuff to prove that they're not on our side. And so we're in a situation where this isn't going to work. This whole thing where you say, I'm going to put some anti-discrimination law in place for yous, that's not going to work. So the question becomes, what works? Well, you have to change our position, as I've said before, in the hierarchy. You have to change our positionality in the wealth dynamic. And you still have to provide protections so that people don't come and prey on our wealth. Yes, we need that. But you have to not only, somebody said something very stupid. It can't just be just reparations. First of all, nobody ever said that. But, that doesn't fix discrimination. Well, it's discrimination in housing. Well, yes, it does. Honestly, because first of all, you can move where you want to move. But the second part about it is, once you have reparations, that transforms the black neighborhood that you're in. It's no longer a poor neighborhood. So that changes the flow of capital in terms of your capital finds capital. And so you're a place with capital, and you can do things with your own neighborhood that were before thought of as stuff that you could not do. Right? That changes things. That changes the dynamic. We're no longer on the bottom. And people will be like, well, does that mean somebody else is on the bottom? Yes, it means somebody. You pick who. I don't care who. I won't offer here. Well, that's just so mean of you to want to get off the bottom and put somebody else on the bottom. Who? How? I didn't put anybody on anything. America did. I have chosen nobody going up the bottom, but America has chosen us to be on the bottom for 400 years, and we kind of want up. Who's going to make you feel guilty for that? You ought to be ashamed. We in this together. When? I have never, it's been like, the people say they're poor white people. No, poor white people are a bottom of a whole class structure that goes all the way up from lower middle to middle to upper middle to elite to super elite. It has a whole class structure. We just poor. So understand when you look at this quote, this some suspicious stuff right here. Credit reporting is fine, but you got to deal with the stuff that makes us have, the bad credit in the first place. That means you got to deal with the stuff that makes us have COVID in the first place. Working these essential jobs, not having enough to plunder what's been stolen, what couldn't be inherited. We'd be in a different place right now with coronavirus if we had had our generational wealth passed down to us. You could just chill out and be like, I guess I have to bust that trust open real quick. I didn't want to. I was trying to save it, but I guess I got to go a little bit into what grandmammy and mammy left me. Right? You can say I'm gonna have to go into a little bit of my inheritance savings. I didn't want to, but I guess I'm gonna have to. We can't none of us say that. And I recognized that immediately when I saw the I told y'all this. One of the most interesting things that happened was watching white Twitter versus black Twitter. When coronavirus first hit and when white people were making all kind of little Pac-Man dolls in the house and taking pictures of the dog and Negroes like, I gotta go to work tomorrow at the Kroger and I don't know how I'm gonna deal and they ain't got no man. It was a whole different world. So, I mean, white America exposes so much about themselves on Twitter. It's amazing. Anyway, going to the next. Let's see what else Biden got. Biden got some stuff for us. He said he gonna eat the black agenda. Let's see. Are you excited? The typical African American holds about one tenth of the wealth of a typical white family, and the disparity has grown worse, not better, over the last 50 years. We're going to fix that by implementing Jim Clyburn's. Here we go. Y'all remember this? Jim Clyburn's 10-20-30 plan to ensure that federal programs are reaching persistently impoverished. Put a pause on that. Persistently impoverished. That's not ADOS. Persistently impoverished is not us. Persistently impoverished communities and targeting new green infrastructure projects and the good paying jobs that come with them to historically marginalized neighborhoods. Somebody threw this junk together. Who wrote this? Simone, you wrote this? Somebody threw this thing together. This is a mess. He just marginalized and everything. Everybody get everything. Okay? I just need to get this whole thing that they talking about off my back. Everybody just get what you get. But how many of you all remember this? Listen, this 10-20 junk, this Clyburn plan keeps coming up. I don't know if you all remember the last time we talked about it, but we didn't talk about the last time we talked about it. It's how Biden is not the only one to give us this. What do you mean? Well, it's very, 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 very clear. What I mean is this. You remember how I said a long time ago, I said that, when Obama said one wave, whatever that thing he said, one wave lifts all dinghy boats, one ship. What did he say, y'all? One boat, one wave lifts all. What was it, fam? A rising tide lifts all ships. Thank you, JD. A rising tide lifts all dinghy boats. What I said when Obama said that is that Mondale was the first one to say that. So even when he said that, he was just rehashing something that had worked. These people are not creative or ingenuity or have no ingenuity. They just kind of rehash stuff that has worked for them, and that's what Biden is doing with this Clyburn plan, because we talked about, and I'm gonna get to what we talked about before, but let me see if I can bring this up real quick. What I want to bring up real quick is that this Clyburn plan was also key. A Republican and a Democrat brought this up before. Not just a Democrat. Hillary Clinton and Congressman Ryan, when he was there, they brought this up before. Hillary Clinton said she would do it too. All of the left, the liberals, the moderates, liberals, and the Republicans are all key to doing this thing that Clyburn came up with. Now I wonder why that is. Why are they so keen on this Clyburn? Good old Clyburn. Bless his heart. He tried. Let me just bring this up real quick. What'd I do with it? Doo-doo. He tried. This is the same plan. I want you to keep this in mind. He tried to recast this plan as reparations. Reparations rebranded. We're going to go back to that article in a minute. Reparations rebranded. This is what Clyburn is trying to push off as reparations. He didn't try to push it off as reparations when Hillary Clinton ran, but he's trying to push it off as reparations now, and Biden's on it now too. Oh, this is Clyburn. Clyburn's our man. Yeah, he your man. He ain't ours. He is yours though. You doggone skippy about that. He is your man. So let's just go to what he says. This is from the Hillary Clinton 2016. Hillary Clinton and Paul Ryan don't agree on much, but both are lending their support to an anti-poverty proposal that cuts across racial and party lines. The result, billions of dollars could soon flow to the neediest of neighborhoods, regardless of who triumphs in November. So you thought. While that may sound like the kind of big government proposal Republicans typically hate, Clinton and the plan's creator, Representative Jim Clyburn, Democrat of South Carolina, have found key bipartisan appeal. A funding formula that will help millions of poor white voters who live in GOP-held districts as well as voters who live in Democratic districts. Now let me just tell you something, family. If you helping white people and black people, that's not reparations. He's trying to recast this. And when we find out, if we look a little bit harder, that a lot of black people get locked out of this, this is not reparations. That's why everybody likes it, because it's not reparations. That's why everybody like it. Let's see. Clinton regularly mentions Clyburn's plan when addressing largely African-American audiences, most recently calling herself a big fan during a speech to a conference of black journalists this month. But this was 2016, of course, but she has also made clear that she thinks it would be good for low-income people regardless of race. When you say regardless of race, we're not talking about anything that resembles a black agenda. That is a program that would target a lot of places in America, not only inner city poverty, but rural poverty, Indian country poverty, coal country poverty, Clinton said at a town hall meeting in March. Hold on one second. I think it's a good way for her to commit to black voters and the black community, said Clyburn. I'm looking for a commitment. Clyburn is also sure to emphasize the plan's race neutral. Race neutral, ladies and gentlemen. Race neutral is not reparations. As a matter of fact, it's the exact opposite. Race neutral. That's what you said in 2016, Clyburn. You trying to switch it up on us now? Ain't you trying to call this reparations? Clyburn is also to emphasize the plan's race neutral aspect in a bid to build bipartisan backing. If you're talking about poverty rates, then you're talking about white people in Kentucky, West Virginia, he said. You're talking about Latinos in New Mexico and Arizona. You're talking about Native Americans in South Dakota and Alaska. Ooh, he got the gamut. Ran the gamut. Then he came around in all that race neutral stuff. Then he came around in 2020 and tried to call it reparations. Now, we've already seen this. We're not going to spend much time in it. We're not going to spend too much time with it. But we're just going to talk about it just a little bit. Just go through it real fast. Clyburn's plan, known as the 10-20-30, allocates at least 10% of funding from any given federal program to counties where 20% of the population has lived below the poverty line for 30 years or more. It was originally intended to address entrenched poverty among all Americans, directing billions across the country, including the swath of the rural South known as the Black Belt and predominantly white hamlets of Appalachia. Of the 460 counties now considered eligible for the money, 18% are majority black and 58% are majority white, according to an analysis by the Washington Post 58% are majority white. This is not reparations. And they're going to give it to you. They're going to give reparations to everybody and said you got your reparations with a 10, 20, 30. Let me just say this. Before I go on, just real quick. You know, I kind of, if you're a person, I don't want to hear anything from Clyburn anymore about his past or about how he grew up or about racism, because you can't use that story and promote class-based legislation. The only thing you can do is just go around town and talking about we're all poor the same and we got to do that. Don't use your background and give yourself some kind of bona fides because you grew up in segregation and sharecropping or whatever the heck I hear you talking about all the time. People love to do that and use that political capital to move to a point where we're just talking about class-based politics. You don't get to use that story no more. Well, that's my own story. If I get to tell my own story. No, you don't. Shut up. Because you're using that story to push somebody else's agenda. If you're not going to use your own story of how you grew up in race and racism, if you're not going to use your own story to benefit your own people, stop telling that story. It's not yours to tell no more. And I don't care if it was your life. You can't use your life to benefit other groups and just say it's yours. No, that's a political capital. That's a collective political capital that you're using to benefit everybody. So you don't even get to use your own life no more. You understand what I'm saying? You don't get to do that because it's not about life. It's about a story of collective oppression. It's not about just about your life and how you grew up. This is a collective oppression story that you say and you get everybody to be like, oh man, he been through it. Da, 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 da. And then what do? After they say that, what do? You come right out the gate and you say, well, you know, here's how we're going to fix it. And you call this mess reparations. Let me just go here. So let's go to the next one. This is Clyburn. I really believe that this whole issue of reparations ought to be studied and ought to be dealt with, but it ought to be dealt with in realistic terms, Clyburn said during an hour-long drive from his district headquarters in Columbia, the state capital, Denmark. The state capital to Denmark. Sorry, my apologies. I'm never going to individualize reparations. It needs to be applied institutionally across the board, he said. It should be systemic, benefiting communities inhabited by those who have been neglected. I don't even know what that means. I don't even know what he was trying to say. And he thought this was smart. This is the dumbest thing I ever read. But he thought he was smart when he said. He probably passed that quote around to his family. What does this say? Look at this. It's not just about black. It's not just about black people, Clyburn said, but it is also about black people. What is you saying? That ain't even clever. Like, be clever. That's not even a clever thing to say. That's so unclever. White landowners were compensated for their flooded farmland, he said, but black sharecroppers were forced to leave their homes and communities with little to no compensation. The grave of his late wife's grandmother now rests at the bottom of one of those lakes. And you're not doing her any honor, though. Like, how does nobody tell you this is dishonorable to do this when you have that background? Now, fast forward to this whole issue of reparations that's been discussed in this campaign. This was during the primaries. Several of the candidates are saying they deal with it using the 10, 20, 30 formula. That is a way to deal with the whole issue. No, it's not. Shut up. Clyburn said he was able to attract bipartisan support to expand the program during an annual appropriations because 2/3 of the nearly 500 counties that qualify for the funds were represented by Republicans. But other House colleagues, notably those representing black urban communities, pointed out that his formula overlooks low-income neighborhoods surrounded by wealthier demographics. So let me tell you something. Let's just talk about this for 1 second. Part of what's happening here and part of what we're not being honest about is the fact that people love to say, well, I have to get bipartisan support in order for it to pass. I have to get Republicans on board. I have to do X, Y, Z. And I'm not discounting political realities, but sometimes, even in so far as that goes, sometimes you just gotta win. Like, sometimes you just got to figure out a way to get both branches and the presidency and win. Sometimes, see, I don't want a bipartisan approach just because it's bipartisan. Sometimes being bipartisan means it's garbage. Because when you put together, it misses the point once you do it that way. I'm not interested, and I know Clyburn wants this to be his legacy. You don't deserve a legacy, though. Honestly. Like, you don't put together, well, it's bipartisan. You see, I got a bipartisan thing going here. You got me. I got a bipartisan. I got some Republicans on here. I did good, didn't I? No, because it doesn't benefit us. It doesn't pay the debt, a historical debt that has to be paid in order for it to have generational wealth. If you can't do that, if your bipartisan bill can't do what it needs to be in terms of making us whole and making us American, I don't need it, and I don't need you. See, when you look at this thing, remember this school. I mean, this is what it does. Hold on a second. Oh, this thing always does something. Hold on a second. This always happens, regardless. We already see what happens. In South Carolina, the town of Denmark has received $315,000 in federal investments through Clyburn's 10-20-30 formula. They got some school buses or something, they said. That's not that, and that's for a whole area. You just got school buses or something, 315, and some scanners or something in the hospital. That's not it. And then what's gonna happen is that they're gonna look at us and be like, well, you know what? You got your stuff. You got your, you know, what you looking at us for? Here he goes with his talk. The problem we've got most Democrats is that we get hung up on all those highfalutin phrases. Who says highfalutin anymore? I feel like I'm watching the Andy Griffith Show. Highfalutin. He said reparations shouldn't be just some, like he said, intellectual discussion. You've got to make people see what it means. 10-20-30 is simple to understand. Right? Y'all remember this. And here he goes right here. This you can just stop right here. There's no way you're going to be able to monetize reparations. You split families, said Clyburn, recalling his late wife's, we remember what he said, late wife's great grandmother who was white, and noting the difficulty of determining who would qualify for reparations given people who of mixed race heritage and the number of light-skinned African Americans who lived as white passed. Listen, if they passed on as white, they passed on. They white now. You can't pass and they come. Hey, but we already have a formula for this. Like the people Clyburn is talking about. Like, people love to pick out these wild aberrations, these unicorns, and be like, well, Aunt Susie May, she passed as white. So what would Susie May get? I mean, she now, she not only passed as white, she married somebody white, and her children look wholly white and have been living white. You've been living a white life. These people are living as white people. So, and you're asking me about these aberrations. That's not. Why are you asking me about these little aberrations? That's how I know you're not serious. Well, some people passed as white, so I can't. I don't know. Well, there were also some people, there were some people who passed as white to go to KKK meetings and actually report back, who married darker skinned black people and live as black now. Like, but we have a whole process. Dr. Darity has a whole process, and Antonio put a grandfather clause in there. There's a whole process we already figured out what you can't figure out. We know you can't figure it out, and you have no desire to figure it out. We know that. But we've already figured it out. It's figured out. So stop telling us we can't figure it out. No, it's figured out. It's figured out. So what's the problem? Listen, as a rule of thumb, everybody, never think because you can't figure something out that it can't be figured out. Don't make no sense. All this little bait and switching that y'all got, this little crazy man Biden doing with his little stupid bill. He just came back out again. What else did he say? Did I even get to all the stuff he said? Business development. Let me see if I got to all this. Oh, he said something else. He said Biden, he was going to revamp some stuff. But we'll get to that. That ain't, the whole thing was just, I ain't know. It was highfalutin is what it was. It was all highfalutin. Highfalutin nonsense. Let's get back to Clyburn, because this is the juicy stuff. Because Clyburn trying to paint this stuff as reparations now. So let's go back to some other stuff from 2016. Tackling persistent poverty. 3 challenges to the 10-20-30 program. Now here's something very interesting. That's Clyburn's program again. In a recent New York Times op-ed where Democratic President nominee Hillary Clinton presented her poverty plan, she wrote, Tim Kaine and I will model our anti-poverty strategy on Congressman Jim Clyburn's 10-20-30 plan in order to ensure our investments are reaching the communities suffering the most from decades of neglect. Never said us. Pay attention to specificity. Hillary Clinton has said that 10-20-30 is a program that would target a lot of places in America. Not only inner city poverty, but rural poverty, Indian country poverty, coal country poverty, all the poverty. But in practice, focusing the selection criteria at the county level, as Representative Clyburn's approach does, yields a collection of communities that are overwhelmingly rural. Though the list of eligible counties varies depending upon data source, upwards of 80% fall outside metropolitan areas. Right? Communities who would not make the cut under the 10-20-30 formula include some of those with the deepest and most entrenched concentrations of urban poverty, like Detroit's Wayne County, Los Angeles County, Chicago's Cook County, Cleveland's Cuyahoga County, and the District of Columbia. That is a lot. That's a lot of black people who would not benefit from this bill. Right? So I wanted to come back to the 10-20-30 just to present the truth of the matter, which is that stop talking about this plan as if this plan is part of a black agenda. This plan is part of an anti-poverty agenda that disproportionately benefits white people. This is an anti-poverty plan. This might as well be a Bernie Sanders plan. This is an anti-poverty plan. And don't use the fact, well, y'all is disproportionately poor. That's still a poverty plan. And you don't make us whole by going after poverty. Right? That doesn't make us whole. That's not generational wealth. I agree with, hey, you're not going to get no argument out of me. You will get an argument out of me about what comes first. You got to pay your debt first. So reparations come first. But you won't get an argument with me about raising the floor. I agree we should raise the floor. In America, you can fall beneath the floor to the basement and some more. I agree with that. But what comes first? Who comes first? That's my issue. You're not going to tell me that a poverty plan is an ADOS plan just because we're disproportionately poor. Because you're giving reparations. Any plan that gives reparations to everybody is not a reparations plan. Nobody does that with any other group. When you talk about Japanese internment, when they got their 20K or whatever it was, around that amount, nobody said we got to give it to everybody and you'll get some too. And that's going to be your reparations. We're going to give it to the Japanese. We're going to give it to all poor people, and you're going to be better off because of it. Nobody told Holocaust survivors and their descendants, well, we're going to have a whole plan. We're going to give it to everybody. You're going to get some of it. You're going to be all right. Okay. No, it's only us that somebody tries to give us a class-based plan. And the thing that is such a awful thing is, like, it's one of our own who's trying to push this off. Like, you bragged about this being race neutral. And then you come off and say you're trying to pass it off as now your reparations plan. You know you lying. Like, stop. What's that old saying? Like, the trees, about the forest and the trees in the woods, that says the trees in the woods trust, When the axe came into the wood to cut them down, the tree said, "Oh, at least it's one of us." Cause you saw the handle of the axe that was made of wood. Like, no, like sometimes things come to cut you down. Why do you have to be the face of this, Clyburn? Like, that's the thing. Everybody, well, I just want to pass a bipartisan bill. Do big good thing for everybody. Well, stop talking all this blackety black stuff about your past or whatever. Just don't do that. Don't be that. Don't be that. Don't stop talking all this. Well, I lived through civil rights and it was hard and the sharecroppers and da da da. No, you're not gonna do nothing for the descendants of the sharecroppers. Don't talk about the sharecroppers. Just go do your race neutral stuff. Do the stuff you was bragging about. Let's finish this Biden stuff. That was because that was the kicker for me. That just got my goat to keep bringing up that 10, 20, 30 mess. But let's go through these last couple before we go. It's mostly a regurgitation of the other plan, which wasn't a horrible plan, but this seems to be like a watered down version of that plan. Because remember when I criticized it before, I said the problem wasn't with the Biden plan. It was an awful plan. I just don't trust him to do any of it. But this looks like a watered down version of that. So hold on. In conjunction with that work, we'll expand on the Obama administration's effort. Understand the language. We'll expand on the effort. That's not specific. Efforts to increase federal and state contract. Give me a number. I know people are like, well, he can't give a number because he's running. No, I need numbers because y'all lie too much. We'll expand on the, whoever wrote this just didn't care. Efforts to increase federal and state contracting opportunities for African American owned businesses. I'm past the point of like try to help to increase. Just leave me alone. Like this I brought up before. We're going to revamp and we'll make it easier for African Americans to retire with dignity by revamping employer retirement plans. I don't know what revamping means. Yeah, but I know you got specificity in your thing, in your little, go to Biden.com or whatever. Employment retirement plans and putting them within reach for far more workers and Social Security benefits, more equitable. I don't even know what that means. We're going to fix the Paycheck Fairness Act, blah, blah, blah. Whew. Let me just spare you the pain of having to go through that. They're going to give money to HBCU. What I have, though, is that everybody is kind of playing whack-a-mole with everything. In the sense of, like, you're not going to get anywhere by playing whack-a-mole. It's great. Like, that's why we have as part of our agenda money to HBCUs. But the problem that we have, it just is what it is. It's not my fault. It's not nobody's fault. It's in terms of like what has to happen. What has to happen is what has to happen. This is the cure. It's not like, why are you saying that, Yvette? No, this is the cure. There's no other cure. I've seen none. I've seen no other cure come through here. I've seen a lot of talking. People say, well, we just gotta, I'm just gonna say this is reparations. Well, I'm going to sell it at first as race neutral. I'm going to tell everybody, help everybody. But then, I'm going to sell it as reparations. I'm going to say this is the real fix. Because y'all like too much of that highfalutin stuff. I don't know why y'all so highfalutin. What was I going to say? Gosh, I had a good point. You ever lose a real good point? But you see everybody's left out of that. White people are carved in. That's interesting. I'll figure it out though. But, it's very interesting. The kind of moment that we're in that we don't think to kind of, the necessity of moving with a level of specificity, right? You can't move this way. There is a cure for what we've been through. That cure is reparations, and that cure has been avoided by this country. For as long as I can remember. And for as long as I can remember, nobody's really been advocating for it. As long as I've been alive. And able to, like, be a sentient being. Right? I've been paying attention to politics since elementary school. And, like, no, we haven't had that. What we've had is a bunch of empty promises. From a bunch of people. And we have people now who, even now, you would think with what's going on with COVID, like they would switch it up. But Biden is kind of saying the same thing before COVID that he's saying during COVID now. So what am I supposed to do with this? And you just put this out. You just kind of put together some stuff from what you had before and decided you was going to cobble that together and say, hey, everybody, look at what I did. I here has decided I got me a black agenda. Well, wait a minute, it's the same one. Well, hush now. I got to get out from up under I got to get up from up under this all these allegations. Clyburn says it's reparations. No, it's not. Clyburn just said it was race neutral. See, that's where you're dishonest. See, people always say, Yvette, you got to be you're so disrespectful of Clyburn. No, he's dishonest. You can't go out now. But let me just end on this. You can't go out now. Look at this chart. This is not. You're casting this as reparations. You can't go out now and talk about this as reparations when 4 years ago you lauded how it was race neutral. See, the problem is we have been so politically ignorant for so long and so trusting of these politicians to do and say the right thing. Right? We have been so ignorant that they believe we will fall for anything. How disrespectful is it for you to say in 2016 this plan is going to sell and this bipartisan because the selling point is that it's race neutral? Heck, it even leaves out a whole bunch of Negroes. How's that for race neutral? Carves them out of there. Get a lot of people caught up. Get a lot of people, white people in there too. That's why we got some Republican support. It's bipartisan. Then you come here in 2020 because you think we slow. And you come here because we've been slow. We ain't been paying attention. You come here and say, now this is you try to cast this as reparations. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. And so, yeah, I get to call that out. I get to call that out because you should be ashamed. You should be ashamed. And if we didn't know better, we would believe you. See, that's the thing. We've been believing that. Well, you know, we've been saying for as long as I've heard. For as long as I've been like an adult, I've heard a bunch of black people run around. Well, at least it's something, Yvette. We got to start somewhere. No, we started a long time ago. I'm tired of trying to start somewhere. I'm ready to end somewhere. Stop telling me about where's a start. A start what? We didn't start. We didn't just get here. We didn't just arrive here from some other country. Then you can say, well, it's a start. No, ain't no start. Built the whole country and everybody keep telling me about, well, it's a start. At least he's doing something. God, that's a low bar. At least he doing something. You got to start somewhere. What made you think we were just starting? It's time to finish. How long you going to do this? You going to have your kids and they kids do this? We have to, and this is the last thing I'll say. We have to, you know, I said last time when I was talking about people who talk about they own the culture. You hear that from a lot of people in hip hop and stuff like that. And we kind of tend to just let that pass. And I think we have to understand that, like, there's different parts of culture, right? We have to have a political culture, and we have to tell everybody, no, you don't own the culture. You may be a part of this part of the culture. We have to have a political culture in here. It's necessary to have a political culture. A community dies in a political country without a political culture and a political plan of action. And people get caught up in that. And there's nothing wrong with competition. I believe in like steel sharpening steel. I believe in that. There's nothing wrong with competition to an extent. And what I mean by that is you can't have all competition in terms of your community and your tribe. We're talking about our tribe in this conversation. But in any tribe, in just a generalized conversation, you can't have all competition and no cooperation. It's fine for them to do that. That's what they're paid to do. They're basketball players. They're in a competitive sport. And to a certain extent, like if you're in business, like that stuff is competitive. But you have to understand that like certain groups compete because they are cooperative and not just cooperative in terms of just like when you talk about economics. That's not going to cooperative in terms of how we do politics. And what our cooperative political what our political strategy is going to be as a group. We've gotten in this space with like somebody can walk off and be like, well, he gonna go do his own politics. He gonna go do this. That's his right. You don't get that right. We ain't got far enough for you to walk off and just go do whatever you decide you want to do and be wild and just whatever. We don't no just not do politics at all. Just be apolitical. Say I don't do no no. You don't get to do that here. We have a political culture, and that political culture involves being involved and very much involved in politics. So I'm gonna leave it there for right now, fam. I'm gonna go to the calls, and we're gonna come back and we're gonna have the conversation. Let's go straight to the phones, family. You know, one other thing I'm curious about, family. You can let me know this when you call in. I'd appreciate it. I'm curious. I'm curious in terms of, and I just want to know. I'm in terms of like what we're going through in terms of coronavirus, COVID, whatever you call the thing that causes the thing. Um, I'm curious in terms of who has gone back to work and who has not gone back to work. I'm trying to do my own little poll in my head. So when you call in, if you could tell me, I mean, we don't know who you are in real life, and make up a name. Don't call yourself Boo Slicky Book. I'm Bosh Slicky Bok. I'm a pimp name, Slickback. No, call yourself just your first name. But I just want to know, like, have you gone back to work? Do you plan to do? Are you off? Are you unemployed? I'm just trying to get a gauge of what the family's going through. So please do that for me. Please be as concise as you can be so that other people can get through. I would appreciate it. And I am about to go to my first call. I am going to 410. 410, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Yvette?
Yes.
This is Dee. I'm calling from Baltimore. This is my second time speaking with you. I think the first time I called, I didn't give a name. I was a little nervous. I'm trying to stay, composed so that I can be succinct. I just want to say, I have to tell you, you have the patience of Job. You are extremely patient. I am so fed up. I'm really so fed up. I'm listening to you today, and basically what I'm getting out of your whole presentation is you have a bunch of people, and I'm being kind and saying people, so I'm going to say spirits. You have a bunch of people who are basically peeing in your face, and they're trying to convince you, hey, this is rain, sing and dance and be happy. In the meantime, they got a whole plan that they have in for us, and that is to steal us with this whole thing. Now, I don't know what's going on with people. I mean, I guess it's going to take the destruction of the entire world, and people still won't get it. But they're playing a bunch of games. I mean, if you can't understand that they're playing all these word games and talking about, I'm going to grant, we deserve reparations, and then, like you pointed out, because you're educating me, you're bringing up things that make so much sense. But because you are so in tune with what you're doing, you're bringing it out, things that we might, otherwise we won't see, and I'm really fed up with the games. That's why we're where we are now, because of these games that people play. And like you said, they've been doing it for so long, they think everybody is stupid. We've been working for so long, we haven't had the time to really sit down. But I'm going to tell you, I'm the type of person that I'm obsessed. I do research. And now that I'm home more often, by the way, I'm not working. I lost my job through, like I said, unfairness on the job. So I lost my job, and I just took the unemployment. It was actually a blessing for me not to even go back. It was like, what are you saying? You like, how do you say, the bitter and the sweet? I can't think of it right now, but that's basically what happened. And I'm so glad, and I'm glad that you brought up the fact about you hope to go back at a time where we won't have to have this. I'm sick and tired of this veil of, what was the term that Antonia uses, veil of decadence.
Yeah, the decadence.
I'm so sick. They don't even see the contradiction. They don't even see the dichotomy with having someone like Diddy present a message when his whole life has been about, like you said, his whole life has been about decadence. And that individual, this rugged individualism, they don't even see that. So what is wrong with people? See, the thing is, in terms of us, I don't think people are self-aware, but in terms of them, that was the whole game. Like, I don't think, see, the thing is, the whole game, remember that, I don't know if everybody remembers when I did that show about the century of the self, or whatever, about how they transformed us from a functionary people to a consumer culture, right? Part of the way they did that was through, like, these people who made us think, hey, get you a diamond pinky ring, get you a Ferrari, get you a this, get you a fur coat. You may not have even been on that space or thinking about that kind of stuff. People say, you got to get this, you got to get that. And so people don't understand, like, the role of these folks, and just saying, I want the best. No, that's not what you're saying. Because the people who really want to live good lives, they're anonymous. And when you look at, like, Bill Gates isn't rocking the rings, like Steve Jobs wasn't rock. That's when you look at that, that's something to make us just
like become, America's about consumerism. But like in terms of
Right.
who was supposed to convince us of doing that when we're, that was them. And so I don't think we really understand the extent to which, I don't even know if they understand the extent to which they were put there for kind of social engineering. You don't have to worry about politics. You can do it yourself. Just get your grind on. Everybody got the same 24 hours in a day.
I know, Yvette. It's just sickening. I'm just so really upset. I called the local station here where I'm from, and I couldn't even get through the air. I had something that I wanted to present. I had written something that was very inspirational, and then I was basically told, well, I have to check, but yet on the same station but a different program, it was a different thing. Someone called in and they presented actually it was a song really. And they were allowed to say what they had to say, but mine, I was told, well, I have to check and this and that, but yet I had a hard time getting in touch with the individual. So I was put off on hold, but I had a positive message, I had put it in as a rap, but I couldn't even get through. So this is the type of stuff that makes me don't even want to deal with my own people. When you're playing games like that, don't put me off like that. Why are you doing this? You have an agenda. You put the filth out here. Well, I remember when I was in my 30s. I remember I had someone I was going with. They used to play this filth all the time, and I used to deliberately play classical music to try to drown it out. All of this stuff happened then because those corporations, that's what they wanted. And they paid those people. A lot of money to produce this filth. This is what we get as a result of it. They don't want a positive message.
Well, here's what here's what I will say. I think what happened was this. And we have to be willing to acknowledge when we've made mistakes. Somebody sent me a tweet and I retweeted it. And it was like the category of the best R&B for that year, and it was like Luther Vandross, Tevin Campbell, Johnny Gill. It was all of the it was Babyface. It was legends in there, and we don't have that anymore. See, now, and I'm a person who grew up listening to fun hip hop and a little bit of Tupac. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is this though. It was supposed to be the voice of this is what's happening to us. And that's what it was. That's how it started. And then we had the fun elements of it. And I'm not a person who is necessarily trash hip hop. But what I will say is that at a certain point, you have to say, maybe this is out of proportion. Maybe something has happened to where we have gone through. That's not trashing anyone. Maybe it's time to rein some things in and bring it back a little bit. Because maybe some aspects of this, maybe to a certain extent. See, this is what I think. I think these people playing stuff out real good. So here's what I think happens. You have people who need money desperately because of what white supremacy has done. So you need money desperately. Now we got some real good rappers out here, but listen, they're not the ones who get promoted to go mainstream. And so what happens is that, and this is the efficiency of white supremacy that we're looking at. The efficiency of white supremacy to do this. White supremacy will put you in a position, in an awful position, and make you normalize that position and celebrate that position and promote that in order to make money for yourself to eat. It'll do that to you. So what they did is say, hey, go out and talk about all this stuff that you have had to do or that you do in order to survive, and the awful stuff, and popularize it. So you get more people doing the stuff that we've made you do by oppressing you. Now that's efficient oppression if I ever seen it. And I think we have to be honest about that.
All right, I want to thank you so much. And keep up the good work, Yvette. I love you. I love everything you're doing. You just keep up. And one other thing before I hang up too, I'm having a problem. I don't come into the chat anymore because something's happened where I can't even chat. I don't know
somebody blocked you. Somebody, one of them.
I can't do. I don't know what is going on. So
one of them.
If I can be held over so I can deal with this because I can't even communicate with you anymore.
Okay, well, send me an email at editor@breakingbrown.com with your YouTube channel link, because somebody probably blocked you, and I'll unblock you.
Okay, you said send it where now?
Editor@breakingbrown.com. Thank you so much, fam. Just send it there, and I'll somebody probably blocked you. But yeah, and see, the thing is, we can't get involved in, like, in that sense. It's just like we just try to blame the rappers themselves as if they set this whole thing in motion. I don't think they set this in motion. I think this was set in motion to they put us in an awful position and then had us popularize our awful position and normalize that. And so what ended up happening was what they had designed, in terms of it ended up popularizing going to jail and stuff like that. Right? That's not what we wanted to do, though. That's not what any ADOS wanted to do. That was because of lack of jobs and lack of opportunity. So people went to the black market. But they said, well, how can we make money off of this? And that's what they did. And I think we even them, you have to see it. You have to see what this is. This was set in place, and you have to say, let me go back and think about this. Somebody was 2 steps ahead of me. That's not to blame. I'm not blaming the rappers. I want the rappers to go back and see also what was done to them and what they were put in a position to popularize. Right? It went from being like, oh, this is awful what happened to me, and this is what they do. It was like, I'm just gonna get my money. If I gotta bust another nigga, no, hold on, wait a minute. You're popularizing the thing that they put. That's a whole conversation, though, fam. That's a whole nother conversation. Anyway, let me go to the next call, fam. I'm going to 310. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hello, I'm calling from the Los Angeles area. I'm listening to you just before the days of Army. I think that's his name. Anyway, so I just wanted to say, first of all, thank you. And that I like the way when you say that you want to frame something. I think that's an excellent thing that you always do. And I wanted to know, do you have, I have a few questions. Do you have a list of the books for book club so that everybody can catch up on their reading while we're out?
I think somebody has that up. If you go to Goodreads, at the Goodreads Breaking Brown Book Club, somebody started a list of the books. So if you go to Goodreads, just Google. I guess you just Google. I found it. Goodreads Breaking Brown Book Club. It's most of the books, or a lot of the books, last time I looked, that we've read or talked about on this show are there.
Okay, and with regards to framing, I would hope that you would want to, like, some of the books that I wanted to hear. I didn't know. I got on the call late. I didn't know if you announced any, but I wanted to hear a medical apartheid, Norm Stanford's Breaking Race for Profit, the how the banks and the real estate agency did us wrong, and something about on the topic of CONTELPRO, or the topic of Margaret Sanger.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you, fam, for calling in. The medical apartheid book is actually on the list I mentioned last episode. That's actually on the list of books that I was thinking about I'm doing, but I haven't announced the book. So just so you know, fam. Going to the next call. I'm going to 412. 412. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, this is Miss Justice from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Hey.
Ada's chapter.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing pretty good. Hey, I'm just so mad tonight. Like, well, Biden, this whole thing with him, he doesn't really have to work because nobody's making him work. He doesn't have any opponents. So, he's the presumptive nominee, plus, whatever his cognitive issues are, they're pretty much keeping him in the basement. I don't know, like, it's a long time from here to November, though. I don't know how these charges is going to play out, so we'll have to see about that. But I'm also mad, Yvette, because of Michelle Obama. Did you see? She's going around. You see what she's going around saying again? About how it's our fault that Hillary lost the election. I'm so tired of her. Like, I'm just so tired of her.
You're getting ahead of yourself, fam. You're getting ahead of yourself, because I haven't what she's talking about. I think the documentary is called Becoming, I think, but it doesn't hit Netflix until Wednesday. And I said I was going to watch it Wednesday when it hit, and if it's good, or if there's something meaningful in there, I was going to use that for Wednesday's show. So you're getting ahead of yourself. But I haven't, like, of course, I think I checked and they said Wednesday. But yeah, I heard that. I haven't seen it though. I haven't seen it.
So we gonna wait for that. But I'm mad tonight, Yvette, because she's going around saying this stuff, and I don't appreciate it. She's not going to keep scolding us and lecturing us about this stuff. And I don't hear her saying nothing to white people that didn't vote for Hillary. The white people didn't want to vote for Hillary. So why are you mad at us?
Yeah, white women didn't come out for Hillary. Like,
and if you didn't get the participation you wanted from us, maybe we didn't have the participation like when y'all was running. But if you didn't see the participation that you wanted to see, did you ever take a moment to do any type of self-reflection and look in the mirror about how you didn't show up for black people? You didn't show up for black people for 8 years. So what do you want us to do? Like, I'm surprised we came out like we did. But y'all didn't show up, and then you got the audacity to go around lecturing us about how it's our fault. No,
I really want to see that. I'm gonna watch it. I really want to see it. It comes out the 6th, I think. And so you all let's watch it when it comes out if you got Netflix, and let's see what it says, and if and let's have a conversation about our observations. So homework, watch that Michelle Obama becoming. Okay. So and we'll see. We're gonna see. Let's see what she say. I read a little bit about it, but I don't take anything at its word or whatever. I want to see for myself what she gotta say.
All right.
Thanks, fam.
Nice talking to you, Yvette.
No, nice talking to you too, fam. But I appreciate. Thank you for bringing that up, because I was gonna forget. I saw an article about it earlier. Then I said I'm gonna watch that. I was hoping it came out earlier, but it doesn't. But it didn't. So we're gonna have the conversation. Don't worry about it. If there's something worth having a conversation about in there, going to 708. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, Yvette, John out of Chicago.
What's going on, John? How you doing?
I'm well. Thank you, and thank you for taking my call. It's always a pleasure.
Okay.
May I ask you a question?
Go ahead. I ain't going to guarantee I'm going to answer, but you can always ask. That's what I always say.
Okay. Yvette, what's better than 2 black billionaires?
A stable middle class. Black middle class.
A stable black community.
Absolutely. But I say middle class because I don't even want just a stable black community. I want people to be good. I want people to be lifted up from poverty and be good. Like, you can be kind of stable, be a little bit poor. Like
That's right. Well, we want it like they have. We want levels to this thing.
Yeah.
We want elite, ultra elite, good, and then middle class. How about that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I absolutely love it. Jim Clyburn would be the age of my parents. And as you stated, why is it that you keep bringing up, Jim, these memories of the past that you lived through in the South? And yet you come with these. This is a complete abdication of responsibility. My parents, that generation to me, and God knows I love my parents, but they're no longer here. But they dropped the ball. King took the bullet. Malcolm took the bullet. Medgar Evers took the bullet. People got afraid. Few people got jobs. Were able to get beat for housing because I remember the young lady being on your show saying that the amount of money taken out of the Austin community, I grew up in the Austin community in Chicago.
Okay.
The Lawndale community in Chicago would be somewhere in the range of $3, $4, $5 billion through redlining, the money that was taken.
Mm-hmm.
They overpaid for houses. They from reading The Color of Law. They got those white people to sell those houses very low and sold them to us very high. But we were able to say, hey, we own homes. Started working, vacation or two, and the result was my generation being, I came of age in 1980, right at the beginning of crack.
Mm.
You know, I was 20 years old when, I was 18 years old when Ronald Reagan became president. I was 20 years old in 1982, and I saw the stores go from being owned by Mr. Brown to being owned by Chico, from Chico to Muhammad. I watched it, and I agree with the analogy, because I've seen so many of your shows, and one of my favorite shows by you is Collapse. And in that show you said, and I'll say it, Yvette, I listen to you, I talk to you, I know the Breaking Brown family is right, but I don't know how to convince my friends, my brothers, my neighbors, my loved ones that this thing is going on. And what you said after that was, hey, don't worry, because everything that's happening is going to start to manifest itself in the life of Black America in a real way.
Yep.
What is COVID-19 doing?
Man, it's going over a cliff. I said it's gonna go over a cliff. You know, because we too close to the edge for it not to go over a cliff. And then it was if it wasn't COVID, it was just gonna be real life. That's just what it's gonna be.
Facts. You speak facts. But getting back to what you listen. After looking at the video, I'm gonna give myself 5 more minutes on the floor. That wink, wink. That was Biden back in that speech in Senate. How could anyone look at that? Know this information. All the information is out there available to everyone, and anyone had the audacity to vote for this guy. It is nothing. I don't care if he is the nominee, the presumptive. I don't care. I could not bring myself to vote for him because of what he said. I don't care how these people got socialized into this situation. How mean could you be, man? How could you not care about the life of people that much and then say something like, because I want my mother to be safe, and I want my brother to be safe, and I want my kids to be safe, but damn our kids.
Yep. Well, and not only that, fam, I want you to forget all about that. Well, I'm brand new now. I done reinvented myself. Forget that I destroyed, because the reason we don't have stability is because they destabilized it. You can't have stability when your government is destabilizing you. And Biden was integral to that, from mass incarceration to segregation. He was integral to us not having good schools. He was integral to us the mass incarceration. He was all about that. You can't destabilize a group and then say, "Hey, I'm here to stabilize. You don't trust me?" Man, go on.
Yeah, ain't that the truth? And Bill Clinton and Barack Obama, man, put it on steroids.
Absolutely.
And now the Black community is a bird that's been kicked out of the nest, flapping its wings. And all that we have left, I want to say to the family, a good job is not reparations. We have absolutely been living out. Yvette, you couldn't have told me I was middle class 10 years ago. Because I had a really good job and made more money than most, but I didn't realize all I was doing was living off of my income. There was no ability to save, because America is expensive, especially if you have children and you love your children. We are in a society that, you are absolutely right, my children are adults today, and I'm still kicking in as much as I possibly can to make life as simple for them as possible, because, man, I didn't realize, man, what it took to take a child from a child into adulthood until I started listening to you guys. They have to hit the ground running. They have to have some wind at their back. They have to have me to pay for college. They have to have me to take the load off of them. And I didn't realize it as that. I thought that I was man, I'm solid. And the people that are going back to work are on the west side of Chicago. I'm chuckling because it's funny, but it's not funny. The beauty supply stores, they opening up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the gym shoe stores, they opening up. You know, and they got folks lined up outside to get beauty supplies to be at that party on Saturday night in Lawndale where 5 people ended up getting shot because people just had to be outside.
Yes.
Well, I'll say this, anybody within my ears, Nathan, I'm going to get off the phone because I know you have a lot of callers. If you decide you want to be outside, even I ain't read nowhere in the world where it's against the law to be stupid, but it can very well be fatal. But I will say this to anyone. You decide, I got to go out, I want my freedom, and that's to you gun-toting white folks too. If you get caught up, you don't have a right to go to the doctor. Deal with it.
No, thank you, fam. I appreciate it. What you gotta do? What you gotta do is just sometimes you just gotta die alone in your house. Like if you one of the people who went outside and everybody told you to go outside, no, it's okay. That's what they said. You believe that stuff? You believe white news? I saw Tariq said. If you get caught up, hey, don't come out here and infect nobody. Don't call nobody and have nobody running to your house to bring you no medicine. We told you a long time ago what you needed. You needed what medicine you needed at the house to have at the house. You know, I tweeted about it. Antonio did a whole show. Listen, don't bother nobody. Like if you good enough to do this alone, don't come out. Don't go outside and you can listen. Go in the house too. See let me tell you what I hate about all these. What I hate so much is that you can go outside. And then, like, it don't even affect you. Like, you catch it, and you one of the people who you don't even feel nothing. You asymptomatic. You go outside, you catch the COVID, and you cool. That's what I really hate. Forget all the people who might go outside and party and get sick. Whatever for y'all. It's different. I feel different about somebody who has to go to work and they get sick. My heart goes out because that's garbage. That's awful. But if you go out, the people that bother me are the people who go out and they're going to be asymptomatic. And they're going to spread it to a whole bunch of people who are not going to be asymptomatic. Who going to catch it and they're going to be sick. And they're not even going to know who to point the finger at. Who did I encounter? Because we don't even have the tracing that we need. Who did I encounter to make how I got this sick? It's awful. It's awful. It's so... And you know, America has a problem. Americans can't stay in the house. How come Americans can't sit down? This is like a child country. And it's not like... I said this before, but it's not even like... You know, when you got to go to work, I totally get it. If you know, but you just, I gotta get outside. I gotta be around a whole bunch of people. People is outside. They're watching the Jets go over. I gotta be out there with them. I want to be around a whole bunch of people. I ain't alive, man, around a whole bunch of people. Sit down. Gosh, what is wrong with a country that can't sit down? It's hot outside. It's 80 degrees. I gotta be outside. Sun's out, buns out. Let's go. What you doing? From Midtown in Georgia to Orange County to everywhere. What's wrong with everybody? It's a pandemic, but I gotta have the buns out, you understand? Oh gosh. Anyway, I'm going to my next call. I'm going to 480. 480. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, what's going on, Yvette?
Not too much. What's going on with you?
I'm doing great. Oh man, I'm surprised I got in with everybody waiting, but I just want to tell you, my name in the chat is Begging for Change. My real name is Ricky Swink. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona. Been following you for years. You and Tone are true revolutionaries, and one thing we got to recognize in our community is that a true revolutionary is going to be for the people. They're not going to be for the glamour, the glitz, luxury. They're going to do, modesty. If you look at some of the examples throughout history, we'll see this. But celebrities and people, our spokesperson that the power structure has put in front of us to speak for us, we got to be more critical thinkers and not just see things on the surface. But I commend you. I commend Tone. Keep doing that work. You have ignited a fire in each one of us that will burn until we receive our just due in this country for everything that we've endured and the hard work that we have put in. So I just wanted to thank you for that.
Thank you, fam. I appreciate those kind words. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, family. Thank you.
I ain't gonna hold you. I just want to say thank you. I appreciate it. I'm fighting. We're gonna continue to fight. We're gonna put this information into our children. We need to get what we're owed, and that's all we're saying. So keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. So everybody in the chat, everybody that's watching and listening every week, you keep doing what we're doing. It's the hens that squeaks that gets the grease, and we're gonna. We've been squeaking for a long time. So.
Not loud enough. Yeah, we got squeaky again.
We're gonna be heard.
All right, fam. I appreciate it. We just got real loud. That's what the Democratic Party said. When these Negroes get so squeaky, they was just being quiet and going along to get along, and all of a sudden their noise is all outdoors. Yeah, you're right about it. You absolutely right about it. We loud now. And what's the problem? 713-713. I'm coming to you. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Did you say 713?
Yep, that's you.
That's me. How you doing, Yvette?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm hanging in there. I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to be short and sweet, but it's potent.
Okay.
I had a stroke.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
At the end of February, running to March.
Okay.
I had a second stroke at the end of March, running into April, so bleeding on my brain.
I'm sorry.
So, that's okay. I'm blessed because I still got my speech, as you can see.
Yeah.
But I can't see, okay? That's some real drama. Can you imagine trying to take care of yourself, go around doing stuff, and you can't see?
Nope.
It's a serious handicap.
Absolutely.
So my employer, who was Jamaican, I was on furlough because of Corona. And I told her when I was in the hospital, I said, hey, I just want to let you know about my health right now. I'm not sure how it's going to affect my work. Well, this BTCH sends me a letter last Thursday saying I need to come to work on Monday, which was yesterday, sign up and say I'm coming back to work tomorrow. I said, but I haven't had any medical treatment because of COVID virus, so I still need to see an eye doctor, not the brain person, with the cardiologist,
your
the person
neurologist?
Yeah. I need to see these specialists so I can get myself back lined out. My blood pressure is still out of whack. She said, I don't care. Either you sign saying you're coming back to work or you need to resign. Because I need to get in alignment with my bank. I said, so this is about the PPP? You forcing me to come back to work when I'm not ready because you need to get your PPP? This is how they're thinking, and she's Jamaican, mind you.
I don't even think that's. I just think that's capitalism.
Since 2015.
I just think that's I just think that they set up a whole beast in this country in terms of how capital flows, in terms of the kind of overzealous kind of capitalism, every big dog eat little dog stuff we got going on over here. It's not even like what an economy is supposed to be. It's just hyper capital. I don't even know how to describe it. But go on. I'm sorry.
Well, I was pretty upset with her.
Absolutely, as well I would have been too.
And I said, well, you do realize I can't do the work. I can't be HR manager. I can't be those positions because I'm coming back as a diminished capacity. And my doctors haven't even released me yet. Ain't you just trying to jump the gun? She said she didn't care, that my illness was my problem. Do you think I want to go back to work after that?
No. And not even that. You can't even deal psychologically with that. Like, you have to deal psychologically with not being able to see, like, you know, what happens with that is psychologically. Not just the physicality, what you were talking about is just one part of it. The other part of it is I have to deal with this. I can't even really try to find a therapist or nothing right now because of the COVID and everything that's going on. I can't come back to work. What are we doing?
Exactly. And my whole thing is that skin folk ain't just kinfolk because she's black, but she's Jamaican.
Well, you could find some ADOS people who would do it too. We just all about individual ruggedism. We don't even care about collective. Don't nobody care about like what's that thing they say? All skin folk ain't kinfolk. No way. It don't matter who you are, right? And so like you get into that position that people just like I got to get my PPE, I got to get my whatever, I got to do this, I got to do that. And so like that's kind of where we are in America. But I would tell you I wouldn't resign if I was you. That's all. That's the only advice I can give.
No, I ain't resigned.
Okay.
I ain't resigned, but it's just the whole notion. It's just the whole notion. And what really makes me angry is these kind of people are not even above her. She ain't paid her taxes. I'm glad I didn't name the name of the company. She ain't paid her FUTA taxes for 5 years.
Uh-oh.
5 years. But I told her, I said, IRS is going to audit you. This is too much money.
Well, she gonna. I mean,
over $400,000 in fines.
Yeah, I mean, and you're gonna have to. I mean, this is what I talk about government in terms of. I talk about government in terms of institutions. When I talk about it, I'm talking about like you should be able to go to the EEO. You should be able to go to the EEOC or the Labor Department and be like, this person is bringing me back, and I haven't even like they have diminished government to the point to where like. It doesn't even serve the role of government. We're hearing about all these people dying too in these chicken plants and these poultry plants and all that stuff. And it's just like, where is OSHA? Like, they're supposed to come in and deal with all of this. Like the stuff that's it's insane.
They ain't trying to help nobody.
Yeah, that's insanity though. This is what happens when you don't have a government that works. Coronavirus just sweeps through and nobody's in control. Everybody just flowing loosey goosey.
Well, that's all I wanted to say. That I was pretty upset about it. I'm still upset.
But you have every right to be.
They expect me to do tomorrow, but
Well, I understand, family. Do the best you can, but don't hurt yourself. Don't tire yourself. Don't do none of that stuff. And you told her that before you came there. You told her what you could do and what you couldn't do. She said, "Come back. Just do the best you can. Don't stress yourself out and don't hurt yourself or none of that because you don't want to have another stroke or nothing like that or put your health at risk or your recovery at risk." Because of her and her fact of needing you to be there. So say you a good prayer, meditate, do whatever you need to do in the morning when you go, but don't put that burden on you. You already told her what you could and what you couldn't do. And then if she get rid of you or something happen, then you deal with that. Deal with that stuff as it comes. Don't do all that. Don't be stressed out tomorrow.
Thank you.
I appreciate it, fam. Thank you for calling. And I wish you a speedy recovery, fam. I wish you a absolutely speedy recovery with everything you're going through. But this is just ridiculous what we have to go through out here. And people like, well, you just got these things, everybody got the same thing. What you talking about? This is just stupid. And let's just wish her all the best and just wish her all the best tomorrow going in with all that stupid stuff that's gonna be going on. But you gotta come in. I don't have my sight. Like you still gotta be here. I don't care. You gotta come. Ridiculous. The whole world went upside down. Anyway, I'm going to the next caller. I'm going to who am I going to? I'm going to 347. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, Yvette.
Hey.
This is Monica calling from New York City.
Hey, Monica. How about you? How you doing?
I'm good. I just wanted to quickly share a story. So one of my close relatives has COVID-19. And they were just going through the motions and whatnot. So they went to urgent care, tested positive, couldn't return back to work. Her job said, you can't return back until your test is negative. So every other week she has to go back to get tested for COVID-19 to make sure it's negative. But the test keeps coming up positive, and she's just been getting the runaround. So it's like, what is the protocol? Like when you tested positive, how do they send someone back and forth to the doctor to get tested? And her job wants to notice. They only giving her a week notice. So every other week she has to keep going back and forth between faxing her letter to her job and, making sure she gets tested because she can't go back to work.
Well, you know what it is, fam, this thing. And that's why, when did she first test positive? Like, did she test positive because she felt sick or the job made her go test?
No, she was sick. She was
sick. Okay, she was sick. Okay. Part of the problem with this disease And this is unprecedented territory, so there is no protocol. But part of the problem with this disease is that you keep shedding the virus long after you feel good. So you feel good and you back to normal. Hey, I feel good. I'm good. I'm chill. I'm Gucci. And you feel good, but your body is still shedding the virus. The problem then becomes, wait a minute, I'm not in control of that. Maybe nobody's paying me for that. But this virus is still here, even though I'm not feeling the impact. And I heard you shed it before sometimes you shed it before you even like develop symptoms. Wow. So that's a whole nother thing. And it makes me wonder, and I've talked about this, I was talking about this earlier. It makes me wonder, and it kind of makes you wonder, well, how long do you test for? And could that be something that makes you get discriminated against at a later point? Well, we're going to test you for COVID. Well, you still shedding the disease. How long am I going to shed this disease? And how long am I not going to be able to work because this virus is still somewhere in my body? And who's paying for that? Like, do I have to be homeless and not be able to work because this virus is still here?
Right.
Oh.
And Yvette, it's so funny that you said that, because when she was first going to the urgent care, they were charging her $50 each visit. And when she started feeling better, she went back to the doctor, and the doctor, he examined her vitals and said, your vitals look good. And she was like, so you're not going to, like, retest me? This was the first time she went back to get retested. He's like, you don't need a retest. We're not doing a retest because you seem healthy. They literally going to return her from getting tested again. She's like, I can't go back to work if I still have it. They didn't initially want to test her. She had to keep going back and forth with them and say, no, I need to get retested. She works in, like, I don't want to say where exactly, but it was like food care services. And she can't go back there without, her test saying negative. So she's been going back and forth with them. She's trying to find a different doctor because it's been so ridiculous. So ridiculous. And
because they don't have there's no protocol for it. And honestly, the thing is, even with the job shouldn't tell you that you got to come back negative unless the job is going to pair you up with somebody who's going to test you to make sure you're negative. Like, you can't tell me to come back negative and we're in a country where they're not even testing. They don't have enough tests. Like, how do you tell me to come? Like, this is the conundrum. And this is why the people on the bottom, who is us, get caught up. America doesn't have a process for this, right? We don't have enough tests. They don't want to test you. They don't want to waste tests on you because they're like, look, you fine. You look good and your vitals are good. We don't want to waste the test on you to want to have tests. But the job is telling you, and I understand where the job is coming from. You need to not be positive. But you got to pair me up with a test. Like, if you give me a test as a job, if you pair me up with a job doctor and you tell me I got to take the test, fine. But I got to wrangle with you. Then I got to wrangle with the doctor because they don't want to get a test, and nobody's putting these two people together and deciding what's best I need to do as a protocol. Nobody's developed a protocol for that. This is a broken country. What's going on? This is ridiculous. So the onus is on her. That's the wrong person for it to be on.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Yvette. Just wanted to share that real quick. And I just want to say to everyone out there, if you can be kind to somebody, it goes a long way. I know this is a hard time for everybody, but when people are being nasty to each other, it just doesn't help the situation. I can't explain to you how many situations I've seen people are just nasty. Like, I don't know if people are just angry because of the situation. I know I live in New York, people are just nasty overall, but people just, like, really don't care now. But I just want to say, if people could be kind in some kind of way, it really helps. Thank you, and much love to everybody.
Thank you, fam. I appreciate that. Yeah. And listen, especially with us, fam. ADOS all going through it. So every ADOS you run into is stress. Like, chill out. Don't calm down. I know it's whatever, but somebody shot somebody. Somebody shot? What was it? The Dollar Tree? I don't know what the assailant's race or anything was. I'm just saying, like, calm down. Everybody chill out. Everybody trying to do the best they can. We all trying to do the best we can. Chill out, calm down. I'm going to what will probably be my last caller. Got a lot of calls in the queue, but can't take everybody. Anyway, 775, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hello, this is Yvette.
Yep, what's going on, caller? How you doing?
How are you doing? This is Donnie from I'm in Lower Washington right now.
Okay.
This is concerning reparations.
Okay, go ahead.
It's I found out it's the American Bondholders Association, and what's happening is that we're having some like issues with China, and everyone's using their politics to get their money and their reparations. And here it says hashtag trying to pay your bills, trying to pay your debt. For 20 years, this organization has been fighting pro-China lobby to bring justice to thousands of American bondholders in 46 states. Now, I don't know if you're interested in this because I'm noticing that people are finding a way to get their money like 100 years later. Okay? And you might want to mull this over and look into it because I thought it was interesting what was going on. What's going on is that they're holding default sovereign debt that China owes these people, and this was debt. These people got together. They got the bonds. They bought the bonds in China to build China. They built the infrastructure of China. Great Britain was able to get their money, but the United States wasn't able to get their money. Now you got a group of people who got that inherited wealth that you're constantly telling everybody about.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this inherited. Well, I'll make this quick. It's just basically these bonds were issued over 100 years ago in 1912, and these people are actually trying to get their money. And there might be a possibility that they might be able to get their money, and I figure I just throw that on you so that, and
Thanks,
maybe
man.
you might be able to do something with it.
I appreciate you calling in. Well, we don't. I don't know if I want to. Let me go to one more call. I'm coming to. I'm coming to. 412. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hi, Yvette. Hi, Ada. Second up, please. He said you was your last call, and here I am. This is your German.
I know. I had
your German ally from Pittsburgh. Yeah, 2 Pittsburghers here today. Oh, wow. I was going to comment really fast on reparations as well. I just kind of got a little overwhelmed through the last call now, but I was inspired by what you said earlier about Clyburn and his whole proposal, and you're right how he had rolled it out 4 years ago, and now is coming back to try to pitch it at, what is it, 30, I'm so bad with numbers, the Clyburn plan. Now he's trying to roll it out as reparations, and it just reminded me, and America, the United States, cannot go to the topic of reparations, and it's not the money, and this corona crisis has shown it. I mean, this corona crisis shows the crisis that is all over the world, quite frankly, in every country and with all kinds of systems, but in the United States more than anywhere else that I observe. And so it's not the money, and everybody's been saying this, it's not the money, and it's not about the money, and every time I hear this I feel it's about the system that is entirely, that its success is entirely based on having this underclass. And when they and also of its ongoingness, and it's been said here many times before how each generation found a new way to enslave the descendants of the original slaves. If they acknowledge the debt, that means they have to stop it. And they don't want to stop it. They don't want to, because everything else built. It's a caste system, and it's built on that. And it's so sad, and it just triggers me every time I hear this, and I get so angry when people just refuse to acknowledge and make this. It's a simple concept. You owe a debt. You have to pay it. And they're trying to overcomplicate it, and it's not complicated at all. And every bank and every credit card holder and will tell you this. You owe a debt, you have to pay it back. And you owe it over a while, you have to pay it with interest. It's not hard. It is not hard. So that's pretty much all I had. I just get so irritated when I hear this because it's. I'm sorry.
No, well, you know what it is though. People do what works, right? And so what has worked for so long is that they complicate it because that does kind of just postpone it, right? Well, and it postpones it to the point to where the country will be so transformed that we won't be able to, I know our heads from our tails anymore. So the reason they complicate it is because that traditionally works. Well, what about this? And what about this? And what about that? And what about that? And no, they said, then we say, well, you know what, it is complicated, so I ain't gonna leave it alone. And so, but for us, we're just being like, no, we got a process for it. It's not complicated. Most of the time when people say how complicated something is, we do kind of say, well, you know, maybe it's not such a good idea, and we just kind of bounce off. And what ADOS has done is said, no, we're not bouncing nowhere. It's not that complicated. We figured out a process to do it. Stop telling us it's complicated. But they do that because it worked for so long.
Yes, and for so long, and the longer it works, the harder it becomes.
Yeah.
Because, you know, each generation, white people now, they feel less and less like they have anything to do with it, and that brings us back to the whole educational problem.
Yeah.
I was watching a TV show, and I didn't really want to go this long, but it really bummed me out because I was watching a show that was actually produced in Germany, and it was bouncing back and forth between the 80s and nowadays and whatnot. I grew up in the 80s, and something struck me I couldn't put my finger on, and when I was able to put my finger on it, it was that the kids that played those parts were so good. They reflected how down we were always about our country. Like me growing up in the 80s in Germany, it was always like, Germany, you know, forget it. Like, you know, and it wasn't drilled into us in any other way. It was never like, well, you know, you have a lot of good artists and scientists, blah, blah. No. There was this dark cloud over Germany. Well, here it's always the opposite, and these people are reared from preschool on to believe that they have the bestest and greatest and most just country in the world, and it isn't so. Yeah. And until you turn that around, and you don't have to go all as hard as people I think went on us, but until you turn that around and make people see that this country is no other than any other, that it has its dark history. And then, you know, the next generation might see that, yeah, we'll have to make up for it. It's so sad. If you look at this from the outside, it's so sad because the white people here don't even realize how detrimental it is for them. They cannot evolve. This whole country cannot evolve until those reparations are paid. Now I'm going to get off the line. You already one call over. I wish you all the best. Please
thank you. I appreciate that.
Family and Yvette.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Now.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Now, that was a good call. I appreciate you. Thank you for calling in. I appreciate that. And let me just say this. I think, you know, part of the problem, and I mentioned this in the newsletter in terms of us, but part of the problem that happens in America is in terms of Germany, what Holocaust survivors have done, and the children of Holocaust survivors and the Jewish community as a whole throughout the world to a certain extent. And I know it hasn't been monolithic. I was reading some stuff about it, but part of what they've done is just make sure that Germany wasn't allowed to forget, and there wasn't the education system didn't input like propaganda that encouraged forgetfulness, right? Or not only just forgetfulness, just like made the Confederates into heroes here. And it's just like, I saw a tweet today that went to that, and the white guy was saying, I hope black voters need to understand that the cities they live in, that the cities that live in are bad, are run by Democrats. And it's like, what do you mean the cities that we live in that are bad are run by Democrats? Like, only? Like, no, we suffer under everybody. You don't think we suffer in red states where they basically got rid of welfare because we would get? You don't think we suffer in the black belt where we pick cotton? You don't think we suffer in Loudoun County? You don't think we forget Terry Sewell? But that's still red. We still talking about red states. Still talking about Mississippi. You're still talking about Georgia. We've only had one Democratic governor who changed to a Republican in recent history. Like, please understand that, like, there's no place where black people don't suffer. Now, we may suffer more in some places than other, but I think for somebody to say like, oh well, it's just you just have it bad in the places that the Democrat. What are you talking about? And did you not go into why that is? It's just like there's this profound ignorance in America, and that's why Americans will be like, this was a pandemic, but I'm gonna go shake my caboose. It's just what it is. I ain't scared of nothing. And I don't know. But you have to have government has to decide first of all to fix it. And part of that fix isn't just reparations. Reparations are part of a bigger fix that includes like education. Like, no, you need to teach all this stuff we talk about and everything we read. You need to teach that. You need to teach that. You need to teach that stuff that we talk about and all the books that we read. You need to teach those in school. Mandatory. Somebody don't like it, you leave. You get out of this school. Ain't no, well, we got to talk about this. And I don't want my child reading this and feeling bad about themselves. Leave then. You can't be here. And we ain't gonna, I don't even want them private schools around it. We gonna teach, because that's what happened. All these people started private schools because they didn't want to underfund the public school. No, you don't get to do that either. This is carte blanche. We doing this across the board. So it's a lot that goes into it, fam. But we're well past it. Well past our time. So please hit the like button for me. Please hit that like button. If you have not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button for me. Click and please share this so we can have a widespread conversation about everything that we're talking about. Please share. Please go to subscribetobrown.com. If you want to donate, you go to donatebrown.com, or you can go to patreon.com/WattCarnell. If you want a shirt, go to adosmerch.com, all of that good stuff. But cost you no money to hit that like button as you leave. Just hit that like button for me. I would appreciate it. Great way to contribute for free. So thank you, fam. We will have the conversation next time. Please take care of yourself. Please try not to stress yourself out too much. Finish your libation and get some rest, fam. And we will talk again very, 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 very soon.
Here we